Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we've got some really interesting notes to explore.
That's right. They're focused on, well, practical wisdom for everyday life.
Yeah, the source material we have is called Everyday Spiritual Wisdom Applied. It sounds like it pulls practical bits from something called a Murli.
Correct.
Ah,
The notes use Murli to mean a kind of spiritual teaching or discourse, and the whole point seems to be applying these ideas, practically.
right, applying them across different parts of life, like the notes mention health, relationships.
Career, finances,
Mm,
the big ones. It's about taking these, let's say, spiritual concepts and making them genuinely actionable.
exactly. So our mission for this deep dive is basically to unpack these teachings and show you how, well, surprisingly useful they can be day to day.
hmm And it's not just abstract stuff. The source actually provides analogies and explanations for why these things are supposed to work.
Yeah, like a shortcut for getting this wisdom into your actual daily routine. Less theory, more doing.
Precisely. It's about that translation from understanding to consistent practice.
Okay, so let's dive in. The source lays out 8 specific takeaways. We should probably go through them one by one.
Sounds good. We can look at the teaching, the why it works according to the source, and then those everyday examples.
Great. So, point 1 is about who you hang out with. It says, keep first class company. Step away from influences that drag you down.
Okay. This feels kind of obvious on the surface, doesn't it?
Yeah, like choose good friends. But the source goes deeper into the why, right? How does it explain the importance?
Well, it presents this idea that the brain, it's sort of wired to mirror the attitudes and energies around it, like sponges.
Okay, so it's not just feeling good, it's actually changing your settings.
Exactly. Choosing uplifting company literally helps upgrade your, let's say, default mental state.
Hmm.
And it talks about protecting your diamond intellect, your clarity, your sharp thinking.
Protecting it from getting dulled by negativity or just wasteful influences, that's a strong image.
It is, and the analogies really bring it home. For health, it's like picking gym buddies who actually spot you properly and motivate you.
Uh-huh. Not the ones tempting you to skip or use bad form.
Right. Or for relationships, spending time with family who genuinely cheer you on rather than, those who just gossip or focus on problems.
Makes sense. And for career,
Intentionally sitting near the positive, solution-focused people in meetings. Let their vibe rub off on you.
and financially.
Aligning with people or resources that teach careful study, not the get-rich-quick schemes, stepping away from that impulsive energy.
Yeah, those examples make the mirroring effect really clear.
Yeah.
Okay, point 2, it's about action, contribution.
Charge yourself with enthusiastic service use, whatever you have to uplift others. So giving back.
Right, the power of giving. But what's the source's angle on why this helps the giver so much?
So the insight here is that giving isn't just, good for the other person. It's presented as a powerful way for the giver to learn and grow.
How so?
Well, the act of sharing or teaching what you know actually converts that knowledge into real mastery for yourself. Like you truly get it when you explain it.
Ah, okay. Like teaching solidifies your own understanding.
Exactly. And generosity, it compounds your skills and confidence because you're actively using them. So donating your time or knowledge primarily boosts you.
It's a virtuous cycle then. The more you give, the more you gain internally. The applications show this is broad, right?
Totally. For health, it could just be sharing healthy recipes or workout tips you found useful. Simple stuff.
Uh-huh. Relationships.
Maybe mentoring a younger relative, using your experience to guide them.
Okay. And career.
Like documenting a process that worked well so your team benefits. Making things easier for others.
And finances. Teaching someone that budget spreadsheet that finally clicked for you.
All really concrete ways to use what you have to help others and in turn help yourself. Okay, point 3. This one's about freedom.
Travel light, detach from the old world's props and labels. Sounds like decluttering.
It's broader than just physical stuff, although that's part of it. The source reframes detachment. It's not loss. It's creating space.
Creating space.
Yeah, the analogy is empty hands are ready to receive.
Yeah.
It's about freeing up mental and emotional energy tied up in old identities, possessions, maybe even old arguments.
So it's making room for the new. Less about deprivation, more about like availability.
Exactly. Clearing the deck. The examples show how practical this is. Health-wise, maybe selling that dusty treadmill you feel guilty about.
Yes. And embracing something simpler, like walking, detaching from the idea you need fancy gear.
Precisely. Or in relationships, letting go of needing the last word. Or old family labels. Just focus on the now.
Okay. And career.
Clearing out old files, apps, basically mental clutter. The source implies your focused attention is a valuable asset.
Yeah.
Uncluttering helps that.
I like that. Attention as an asset. And financially.
Like unsubscribing from those tempting sales emails, unfollowing accounts that just make you want stuff,
Yeah.
recognizing that your attention and discipline have value.
That's a powerful reframe. Okay, point 4. This feels fundamental.
Win the battle over impulsive desires, lust, rage, etc. Lose that, and you lose the kingdom. Classic self-control.
It is. But how does the source suggest we actually build this? What's the mechanism?
It really emphasizes the power of, like, micro-victories. Small wins.
Micro-victory.
Yeah. The why it works part explains that every single time you pause before acting on an impulse, anger, a craving, whatever, that pause is like a little victory lap for your willpower.
So it's not about one huge effort, but lots of small conscious pauses.
Exactly. String enough of those pauses together, and the source says you gain real ownership of your inner world, your reactions. And then outer success tends to follow naturally.
Building willpower through accumulation. Let's see the examples. Health.
Pausing for just 10 seconds before grabbing that sweet treat. Maybe drink water first, or just step away for a moment.
Simple but hard. Relationships.
When you feel anger rising, literally mute yourself for a minute. Don't speak when you're hot-headed. Maybe text later when calm.
Okay. Career.
Delay hitting send on that angry email after a bad meeting. Walk around, cool down, reread it.
Definitely done that one. Finances.
Having a rule, like sleeping on any major purchase, let that morning clarity override the impulse buy.
The power of the pause. Okay, point 5 zooms in even more on thoughts.
Turn every thought into a power investment. Wasteful seconds burn millions in value. Disciplined thinking.
Making sure your mental energy isn't just like leaking away on useless stuff.
Precisely. And the source uses a really modern analogy here for the why it works. It mentions SAP's systematic investment plans.
From finance.
Yeah. The idea is that tiny choices about where you put your attention, even for seconds, they add up, like small, regular investments.
Okay.
So disciplined, focused attention becomes compound interest for your, well, the source says soul and CV, both your inner state and your outer achievements.
Compound interest for the soul. I like that. It raises the stakes on mindless scrolling.
Doesn't it? So applications, health swapping that scrolling time while waiting for a quick 5-minute stretch.
Good one. Relationships.
Using your commute to send quick gratitude messages instead of just zoning out.
Nice. Career.
Replacing the Monday thoughts with actually micro-planning your top 3 goals for the week before even opening email.
Proactive. And finances.
Using those spare moments online to read a useful finance article instead of, celebrity gossip. Deliberately redirecting the mental energy.
Exactly. It's all about conscious direction. Okay, point 6 is about getting ready.
Rehearse and refine preparation turns ordinary talks into magnetic lectures. Practice makes perfect, right?
We hear that a lot, yeah. But the source focuses on the feeling and the outcome of being prepared.
How so?
It says practice removes the friction. When you've rehearsed, you can deliver with calm excellence. You're not just nervously winging it.
So it builds that quiet confidence because you know you're ready. It's about calmness.
Right. It's not just about skill, it's about the state you're in. The applications show this applies everywhere. Health, planning meals on Sunday.
So you're not improvising fast food on Tuesday night.
Exactly. Relationships. Jotting down points before a tricky conversation, maybe even thinking about the kind tone you want to use. Preparation for emotional stuff, too. Career.
Actually doing a dry run of a presentation with a colleague or even just talking it through yourself. Find the awkward bits.
Okay. Finances.
Like simulating a portfolio change on paper first, or walking through the steps of a complex online transaction before doing it for real. Reduces stress, improves results. Absolutely. Less friction, more confidence, better outcomes. Now, point 7 has an interesting sequence.
Serve first, then eat, let generosity precede gratification. This feels different. Usually it's me first.
It is countercultural in some ways. The source argues there's a big psychological and, well, spiritual payoff.
What's the argument?
Leading with contribution, doing something for someone else first, it triggers that helper's high, that good feeling for making a positive impact.
Okay.
And the source says experiencing that feeling before you get your own reward. Your meal, your paycheck, your downtime makes your own reward feel significantly sweeter.
Yeah.
And totally guilt-free.
So it's not delaying gratification as a chore, but as a way to actually enhance the reward later.
Exactly. It reframes your own gain as something enjoyed within the context of having contributed first.
That's a neat twist. Let's see the applications. Health.
Maybe finishing sharing your workout tips before you settle down with your smoothie.
Okay. Relationships.
Helping your partner finish their task before you flip on your favorite show.
Career.
Helping a teammate with something blocking them before you head off for your own lunch break.
And finances.
Setting up that automatic charity or family savings transfer to go out the moment your salary hits. Then budgeting the rest. Prioritizing the giving. A subtle shift in the order of things, but the source claims it makes a big difference in how you feel. Okay, last one, number 8, consumption.
Guard your gateways. Choose clean food and clean media. This seems pretty direct. Be mindful of what you take in.
Yep, and the why it works is stated very clearly. What you consume physically, mentally, through your senses, literally becomes your cells, your mood.
Even impacts your bank balance, it says.
Right, it's the basic idea. Quality input leads to quality output. Across everything, what goes in shapes what comes out.
It connects everything. What you eat, watch, read, it all builds you. Applications.
Health, choosing home-cooked food, made with care, over maybe questionable street food. Simple choice.
Relationships. Maybe swapping late-night stressful TV news for a calm board game or just talking.
Career, replacing mindless social media scrolling during a break with a quick, focused industry podcast.
Finances. Actively skipping flashy, manipulative ads and looking for unbiased reviews or facts before you buy. Conscious consumption.
Exactly. So those are the 8 main points from the notes. Spiritual ideas with really grounded applications.
But the source doesn't stop there, right? It talks about how to actually keep this going, maintain momentum without losing ambition.
That's right. Because knowing is one thing, doing it consistently is the real challenge.
Yeah.
It gives 3 key tips for that.
Okay, what are they? How do we keep these practices alive?
First, a mini self-check. Before starting a task, just ask, is this powerful or wasteful?
Ah, that links back to point 5, the power investment idea. A quick check-in.
Exactly. Forces that moment of conscious choice. Second, set a service goal. Aim to share one useful insight daily. Online, in person, doesn't matter.
Making point 2, enthusiastic service, a small daily habit, helps you consolidate your learning too, probably.
And third, detach actively. Each evening, consciously name one thing you can simplify or let go of tomorrow.
So applying point 3, traveling light, as a regular evening reflection, freeing up energy consistently.
All right. So these 3 tips are like practical tools to weave the 8 points into your daily rhythm, turning the wisdom into lived habit through small, repeatable steps.
Makes sense. They provide a structure for actually doing it.
Exactly. Keeping the momentum going.
Wow. This has been really illuminating, seeing how these sort of spiritual ideas from the source translate into such concrete actions for health, relationships, career, finance.
It really highlights that connection the source is making between our inner world and our outer results.
Yeah, it drives home that idea that wisdom isn't just knowing stuff. It's about actually applying it in the small choices we make every day.
Beautifully put. The inner state and the outer experience influencing each other.
The source wraps up with a really memorable line. Stay light, stay kind, stay driven. Spiritual royalty wears simplicity like a crown.
That's a powerful summary.
It also ends with Shanti, which the notes mention is part of the original context.
Right. Important context from the source material.
So thinking about that final line, spiritual royalty wears simplicity like a crown. Here's a final thought for you, the listener. What's maybe one practical change inspired by these ideas we've discussed that you could make this week?
Just one small step.
Yeah, applying one of these points or maybe one of the tips to feel just a little bit lighter or kinder or more empowered in one part of your life.
A single action to start integrating the wisdom.
Thank you for providing these fascinating sources for our deep dive today. We really hope this exploration has given you some valuable things to think about and maybe even try out.